again, I invite you to come.
I will go. We'll go together. I'll come with you. You come to Eloquent.
The town halls that we have been doing, where we are seeing Republicans and Democrats alike. I went to a county that Trump won by 20 points. Hundreds of people showing up and saying, I'm a Republican. I voted for Trump, and this is not what I voted for.
Let me.
To a standing ovation, the 47th president of the United States of America.
You know, I always love videos like this because I think it is something of an important reality check, and a reality check that is coming with perfect timing here, because I think very often it is easy to fall within the trap of politics on TV and on the internet, where everything is a constant moral panic. The sky is always falling. These people have very low impulse control. And so if you heard any of the coverage, both from the mainstream media and frankly, a lot of the panicans on our own side, over the past few weeks, you would have heard that exact narrative. The sky is falling. Everything is collapsing for the Trump administration. His popularity is caving in on itself. Of course, you've constantly heard this talk about how all the Trump supporters are regretting their votes. And it's like, I don't know. I haven't met a single one who has said that, but okay, that's what we're being told. This is why I love it, especially at a time like this, when Trump steps out into the real world and it turns out, oh, everyone loves him. Oh, even as we'll show you actually in today's video, many of the people who are publicly critical of him for the purposes of internet likes or content or whatever, the moment that they actually show up to meet the guy, even they are big fans of President Trump, as we saw in the curious case of Mr. Dave Portnoy yesterday at the UFC event. But nonetheless, we got to talk about this here today because I think it is so telling that Trump showed up to the UFC 314 last night in Miami, Florida, and was massively popular. Now, of course, some of you might say, oh, but it's UFC. Oh, but it's Miami, Florida. These are expectedly right-wing audiences where Trump is popular, and it is true. Trump did win Miami-Dade County, like, I think, what was it, 55-45 in the November election. So I guess you could say it's not all that surprising, but here is the aspect of it that is worth noting. Okay, but what have we been told? We've been told that the MAGA base is turning on Trump, right? His own party is against him in this. His popularity is crashing.
It's crazy how it's only been a month and Trump supporters are already regretting their vote. We told you so.
And so here he goes, making a public appearance. What happens? Well, we'll show you that in today's video. So folks, do us a favor. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit that like button down below, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, you subscribing is the best way to support our work and ensure that we can keep doing these videos. And with that said, here is an introductory highlight of President Trump at the UFC event last night. And ask yourself, does this exactly appear to be a guy whose popularity among his own supporters and voters is exactly moving or going anywhere in the negative direction? Yeah, not exactly sure about that.
Making the entrance right now to a standing ovation.
Is there anybody else that has a walk-in other than a fighter? I mean, he has some music. Kid Rock starts playing.
He has it for him coming. Give him the walkout.
Isn't that interesting? How could that even be, by the way? I thought all the Trump supporters were regretting their votes. He should step into that arena and everyone would be booing him because everyone's so mad about the tariffs, right? And by the way, how can they even afford those tickets? I thought everything costs $2 trillion now because of the tax on consumers, the Trump tax hike. So how can all these people even afford to be there? It's unbelievable. It's stunning. See, that's what happens when online rhetoric gets met with reality. And then the reality is, no, people are not turning on him, at least in the way that is being presented. It reminds me a lot, frankly, of when, remember this, guys, Trump showed up to the Super Bowl just a couple months ago, and all the liberals were trying to start this movement. Hey, boo Trump at the football game. Hey, everyone show Trump how unpopular he is, especially, look, the Eagles are the team from Philly. Philadelphia is a blue city. Surely this will work. And then what happened when Trump showed up to the Superdome for the game? Everyone is cheering him massively. There's like one person in the whole crowd booing. Yeah, that's kind of, again, what happens when the reality check takes place, right? When the reality of the world sets in and pushes back against internet rhetoric. Nonetheless, here are some other videos. As you can see, Joe Rogan says to Donald Trump in the press box that, "I'm so happy for you, sir." Take a listen. How could Joe Rogan possibly be happy for him? I thought everyone hates Trump now. Wow. Funny how that works. Here is also Trump meeting Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal. But okay, I want to show you this right here. This is where it gets really good, because even in the case of Dave Portnoy, someone who has gone on TV and publicly contributed to the Trump derangement syndrome, or if you don't want to call it that, even just the negative energy in the past week, Dave Portnoy has spent the past several days going so far as to saying he might even vote Democrat in the 2028 election because that's how pissed he was about tariffs. So here was Dave Portnoy on TV, and then we're about to show you what happens when they meet face to face, because the entire thing really is comical. You can't even make this up. But first, here's Dave Portnoy.
I almost tweeted out, "Dave, how much are you down right now and today?" 7 million. I'm down 7 million bucks in stocks and crypto. And it's tariff city. Trump has put his tariffs all over the place. I've been trying to understand them. I don't. Like, it's more a trade deficit tariff to me. Like, hey, we get this much shit from you and you get this much from us. Let's even that up. Let's get some wacky formula and do tariffs. And everything's in the shitter because of it. I went super viral when I said I lost $7 million. I'd kill to be back to losing $7 million. I haven't even looked. If I had to guess, I'm down in these last 3 days, probably close to 20. I don't know, like 10, 15% of my net worth, poof. But I'm still here. That's the game. Am I crying? Am I like, oh, woe is me. I wish I voted for Kamala. No. Do I wish this didn't go down like this? Yes. Am I in this to make money? Yes.
Could you see yourself supporting Democrats?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing about me, which drives me crazy, I vote for Trump. I support him. I was never like some crazy MAGA guy. Like I look at each candidate and I choose who I like. I think the left and a lot of even what they did with, I want to say, hiding Biden's mental state and not having a primary really drove me to the right. So I am not somebody who would just strictly vote based on Republican or Democrat. I vote on the people running, how I think they speak to me, the issues that are important to me. But yes, I will vote how I feel is the best interest of what I believe in.
Right. Well, that's where this is about to get really funny and entertaining, because as you could probably ascertain, they've made Dave Portnoy the past couple of days the poster child of the supposed Trump voter who is regretting their vote. He is going to making these videos about how, oh no, my net worth is temporarily down, and even went so far as to grovel to CNN about it and even suggest that he may be voting for Democrats in 2028 because that's how pissed off he is. And it's like, okay, we get it. That's where he stands. I think Dave Portnoy is always basically been a massive fence sitter and just totally back and forth, whatever. But nonetheless, okay, You would expect, by the way, that if he's really this pissed, he'd at least be a man who stands on those principles. But nope. Instead, take a look at what happens the moment that Dave Portnoy and Donald Trump actually come face to face at the UFC event. And is it not, guys, literally the perfect summary for this reality check that I keep talking about constantly in this video? It really is. Check it out.
I talked to him about the fights. He really loves fights.
No doubt. He loves it. Freeland fights. Think about this.
Yeah, isn't it so funny how that works? And a very common pattern, by the way. You spend all week crying about Trump, you're contributing to mainstream media narratives, and then the moment that they meet face to face, what is he doing? Fanboying, you know? He's like, oh, good to meet you, Mr. President. You like my hat? Very good. All smiles here. That's the reality check we keep talking about, and frankly, I think there's been a lot of reality checks between the narrative and the truth about Trump and his public perception in the past couple of days. I think UFC, frankly, might just be one example.
I think there was this concern among some folks that Donald Trump would come in for a second term and kind of be a lame duck. He ain't no lame duck. If anything, he's a soaring eagle. What am I talking about here? Let's talk about Trump executive orders in 2025. He's already signed 111 so far. That is the most at this point in a presidency in at least 100 years. In fact, it's the most in any single year, and we're only in April, since Harry S. Truman in the early 1950s. The bottom line is whether you like Trump or you don't like him, you can't say that he's come in and not try to deliver on what he at least believes was his promises on the campaign trail, and he's doing so in historic fashion.
How are people reacting to and feel about Trump's approach?
Yeah, okay. So Trump's approach here, what are we talking about? Trump's approach to presidential power. I think the American people recognize what he's doing here is completely different. We're talking, get this, 86% of the American public believes that Trump's approach to presidential power is completely different from past presidents, compared to only 14% who believe it is in line with precedent. And we're talking about at least 79% of Democrats, independents, and Republicans. So again, you can agree or you can disagree with Donald Trump, but what you can't disagree with is that he's doing things very differently. I have used the Frank Sinatra quote before. He is doing it, quote unquote, my way, and that is what Donald Trump has done throughout both of his presidential terms, and he's certainly doing that, Kate Baldwin, in term number 2.
So completely differently, clearly they agree, but take it a step further? Do the people think he's taken too much power?
Yeah, this I think is the real question, right? You can believe that he's doing stuff completely differently, but do you think that he has a little too much power or not? And this is interesting. So Trump's presidential power is too much, the right amount, too little. Well, 47% say too much, but then you get 36% who say the right amount. Then you get 17% who say too little. So you're essentially dealing with a majority of the American public, 53%, who do not say that Trump has too much power. They either says he has too little power or the right amount of power. So the idea, that argument that Donald Trump is, quote unquote, a king, that I don't think holds with the American people. It does hold maybe with 47%, but with the majority of folks, they believe Donald Trump's doing something completely differently, and they don't believe he has too much power, and the executive orders he signed certainly suggest he's no lame duck. He is, as I said at the beginning, a soaring eagle.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Crazy radical idea here. But is it maybe possible that the mainstream media and the internet are not real life? That when you tweet out a video of 12 people outside of a Tesla dealership protesting against the Trump administration, that's not an accurate reflection of how the wide-scale, broad American public feels? In that when you have one guy on Facebook, for instance, who claims he voted for Trump and says, I regret my vote because of the tariffs that he literally campaigned on, by the way, maybe that's insincere and astroturfed. I don't know. Just a thought. Just a thought. Maybe that answers your question, by the way, as to how it can be Trump walks into an arena full of people from the general American public and is a massive star, when we were told by MSNBC over the past several weeks that everyone is pissed, everyone's fed up, this is the turning point, this is the end of the Trump administration. Yeah, okay. All right, with that said, though, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.